Can I get every achievement in? Simpsons Hit and Run is broken down into 7 levels. In each of these levels, you'll play as a different character. The first of these levels consist of you playing as Homer in the downtown area of Springfield. The first thing that we have to do is complete the tutorial mission. First off, we need to speak to Marge. From this, we then need to head to the Quickie Mart to pick up some more drink. Somehow, they've all been drank by somebody in the house. Therefore, we just need to head over and speak to Apu. After speaking to Apu and getting the cola, we get our first achievement in the game, the Cola Caper. Following getting our first achievement, we now just have to complete each of these levels. As mentioned, the first level follows Homer. Some weird black surveillance vans are driving around Springfield and we have to get to the bottom of what they're actually doing. This finishes with us ending up at the nuclear power plant. From here, we then need to race Smithers to Monty Burns in his mansion. This is basically from one end of Springfield to the other, so it's a pretty mega race.
Let's see you do better. He used the cheat code.
Overall, this isn't a particularly difficult race. Smithers' car isn't particularly quick, and he's not a particularly good driver. If you can avoid some of the obstacles, which could be a bit difficult seeing as this is still the first level, so you're getting used to the controls and the jankiness of the driving in some ways. If you take the shortcuts as well, you shouldn't have any real issues doing this. I think I made this much closer than I needed to because I kept crashing into things towards the end, but generally it's okay. Once you've won this race and spoken to Mr. Burns, you'll then unlock the achievement, Homer's Day. Level 2 follows Bart travelling around the downtown area of Springfield. This incorporates some of the highways and other memorable areas of Springfield that you'll have seen from the show. Whilst exploring this area with Bart, we're aware of some weird crop circles that have appeared. This means we have to investigate this potential alien presence. The final task of this level is to destroy a bunch of cars that have cell phone users within them. These signals seem to be interfering with Professor Fink's experiment that he's conducting. You destroy vehicles in this game by driving into them as quickly and as hard as you possibly can. The mechanics of this can be a little bit weird because sometimes you'll hit them and think you've done a load of damage, but it won't actually do any damage. This just means that you need to hit them over and over and again, and eventually you'll destroy them. Following the destruction of all these cars, we then need to return to Professor Frink. After speaking to Frink, we'll then unlock the achievement, Bart Goes Downtown. Next up is level 3 where we play as Lisa. Here we're exploring the seaside boardwalk area of Springfield. This is quite different to the 2 previous areas as it's a lot less built up, but it is still very interesting. Maybe not quite as iconic as the other 2 areas, but still quite an iconic level. Following all of this conspiracy, Lisa is investigating the mind control which seems to be perpetrated by the cola distribution. Whilst investigating this conspiracy, we discover that Bart has also gone missing. We work out that the captain might actually know where Bart is. Unfortunately, we have to help him before he'll help us. This then leads us to a mission where we have to collect 23 fish for the captain, which are scattered across this area of Springfield. In my opinion, this is where the difficulty spikes quite a bit in this game. Up to this point, the levels are all pretty easy, but this is where it definitely gets a bit more difficult. This is down to tighter timescales and having to collect more items. In this area too, it's definitely harder to avoid getting a hit and run too. Hit and runs are basically the Simpsons hit and run version of getting a 5-star wanted level. You get this by hitting objects or running people over. Realistically, you want to avoid this at all costs. After collecting all the fish, we then become aware of a black limo which supposedly has Bart in it. I'm not really too sure why it seems like a good idea, but we have to destroy this limo. I don't know why you'd want to destroy it, especially if you think your brother's in there and you're trying to rescue him anyway, but it seems like the idea that Lisa goes for. Thankfully, it turns out that Bart isn't actually in this limo and is actually on the huge ship in the centre of this area. We just have to get on top of it, which we can do by using a jump on the other side of the dock. After speaking to Bart and realising he's gone a bit doolally, we'll then unlock the achievement, Harbour Hustle. Next up is level 4 and we're playing as Marge. Here we're back to the Springfield suburb that we were in the first level with Homer. This time our main focus is stopping violent behaviour which is being caused by Buzz Cola. The final mission within this level requires Marge to go around and destroy Buzz Cola delivery trucks that's trying to deliver Buzz Cola all around Springfield. This is very similar to the level with Bart, but these trucks are much stronger than the cars that Bart was going after. This means they require a lot more hits and require you to hit them a lot harder. Following the destruction of these 3 vehicles, we then need to return home. Unfortunately, it seems that Chief Wiggum has noticed that we've been around destroying vehicles, and that probably isn't advised by the police. Therefore, he then gives us a bit of chase. Once we've lost Chief Wiggum, all we have to do is return home and we'll unlock the achievement, Marge is real. Next up is level 5, where we play as the only non-Simpson relative, Apu. In this level, we're back to where we were with Bart, but this time it's at night. Doesn't make any difference as far as I'm aware, but it's just at night. The main goal of this level is to continue Bart's investigation into the alien conspiracy, this time going a bit more direct. This level concludes with us working alongside Bart to try and get into the museum. This seems to be the centre of where the conspiracy is coming from. Unfortunately, when we get there, the curator of the museum has left with the key. Instead of just asking to use it or explain the situation that we're in, obviously the decision is to destroy this car. Due to it being a smaller car, it doesn't actually require as many hits. The difficulty from this though comes from the fact that it's a lot quicker and a lot more nimble. This means that it's actually more difficult to hit in the first place. One good method to destroy vehicles in this game pretty quickly is to veer them off into indestructible objects. If they hit it fast enough, they'll then do a hell of a lot of damage. This is what happened here and basically destroyed the vehicle in one hit. Following this, we then just have to pick up that key. Once we return back to the museum with this key, we then unlock the achievement, Incriminating Caffeine. By this point, we've realised that the aliens are basically behind all of the conspiracy that's going on in Springfield. These are the 2 aliens, Kang and Kudos. Or Kodos? I don't really know. To continue the battle against these aliens, we then return back as Bart. However, we're now back to the docks where we were with Lisa earlier. Bart seems to be back to normal and we have to continue gathering evidence back against the aliens. It turns out that the aliens are holding laser weapons in these little stands scattered all across Springfield. This really doesn't seem like a great idea, especially with some of the people that live in Springfield. Therefore, we have to destroy each of these stands. There are 25 of these scattered around this area of Springfield, and again, this is where the difficulty jumps up. I think once again, because of this area, there's a good chance of hitting a hit and run by accident, and also the tight time frames does make this quite difficult. After destroying all these stands, we then have to head back to Krusty Studios. And as you can see what I mean, I did this literally with 1 second left. Really did not think I was going to be able to do that, but I think the hit and run that I got earlier did not help in the slightest. We then go and speak to Homer and basically give him a big breakdown of everything that's been going on. We then have to race the aliens back to the brewery to stop whatever they're up to. See, this is a weird part of this game where I haven't probably played this game in about 15 years, but I remember if you go the opposite direction to what it tells you, it's actually much quicker and makes this race a whole lot easier. Even after going the much shorter direction, I did still make this as hard as humanly possible for myself. I basically crashed into every oncoming vehicle and just any object on the road. Maybe this was me just being a bit careless due to the fact that I knew that I had plenty of time, I don't know. Eventually, I did finally cross the finish line and completed this level. This unlocks the achievement, Milking the Pigs, and puts us on to the final level of this game. It's now time to go into the final level of the game. This to me is probably the most iconic of all of them. This is because you go back to the first area, but everything is Halloween themed. Once again, you're playing as Homer, and the main goal of this is just to stop the aliens from enslaving the whole of Springfield. As mentioned a couple of times, again, this is where the difficulty really spikes. This is just down to the fact that everything is just much harder. The vehicles that on the road are more annoying, they just seem to swerve all over the place. All the cars are quicker, the time frames are a lot less, and getting hit and runs is much easier. All of this difficulty culminates in the final mission of this game. In this mission, we have to work alongside Grandpa Simpson and destroy an alien UFO. This in itself doesn't sound too difficult, but trust me, it really is. The first part of this mission is we have to drive across the whole of Springfield racing a black car to the nuclear power plant. This car is very quick and will take all the same shortcuts that you do. Whilst trying to avoid the traffic and any hit and runs as well, this can be really quite difficult. Eventually though, you will beat it to the nuclear power plant. Next up though is the truly difficult part of this level. This requires you to pick up some nuclear waste from the power plant and then drive it back to the school where you started. However, this time you're not racing anyone, you only have a minute to do it. That doesn't sound too bad, but the nuclear waste is very annoying. Any slight knock or big hit or anything like that will destroy the nuclear waste and you'll have to head back to the nuclear power plant. I found at this point you might as well just restart the mission, which therefore means you then have to do the race as well. Midway through this drive, just outside the Simpsons' house, you'll then start getting chased by another black car which you have to avoid and get away from. Once again, doesn't sound too difficult, but because of the nuclear waste on the back of your car, if you hit anything by rushing anything, it will just restart the mission basically. As I hit that lamppost there, as I avoided that car, I did panic because I thought I'd just have to restart again, which would have been very annoying. Thankfully I didn't, and all you have to do now is safely get back to the school and send that nuclear waste up to the UFO.
Nothing lasts forever.
With the nuclear waste sent up to the UFO, this unlocks the achievement Halloween Havoc and finishes the main levels of this game. Now with the main story completed, it was time to start doing some of the collectibles in this game. The first of these were picking up vehicles. There are many different vehicles within this game, and they all have slightly different characteristics. Some are very similar and just reskins of other ones, but some of them are really quite cool. Each character has their signature vehicle which will unlock automatically. For the other vehicles though, you'll either have to buy them or unlock them by completing races, or side missions. So grinding money, completing races and side missions was what I focused on next, and I slowly unlocked each of the achievements related to getting them in each level.
In your face!
I am the king! This guy's driving is slower than my gastrointestinal. Ow! Whoa! I won? I'm sorry.
I feel like a Brahmin.
You just gotta help old Gil out. Yeah, you're gonna buy a car?
Next up is buying all the outfits for all of the characters. Each character has 3 different outfits and you have to buy all of them. This means the main focus of this is really just grinding as much money as humanly possible. The best way to do this is destroying either the boxes, vending machines, or the wasps that you find scattered about. However, these don't respawn, so if you can find a couple that you haven't fully destroyed and just continually hit them twice, respawn, hit them twice, you can grind the money much easier. All of these outfits are references to some of the great episodes of The Simpsons, so they're good fun to buy and look at. Once you've bought all the outfits in each of these levels, you'll then unlock an achievement. Next up is to destroy all of the wasps in the game. In each level there are 20 wasps, and these will only appear when you get up close to them. In the earlier levels they'll just sort of fly around and they'll fire the occasional bolt at you that you just have to avoid, so dead easy. In the later levels however, they will have shields, so you'll have to hit them twice. Once you destroy all of them in each of the levels, you'll then unlock an achievement for doing so. The next collectible are the gags that are scattered across all of the levels. These can be references to the series or just general things that you can interact with. Thankfully, in some of the repeat levels, the gags remain the same, so they're a bit easier to find. Only a few of them are slightly tucked away in places that you probably wouldn't explore otherwise. As long as you're observant, you can find them pretty easily, as after a while you sort of learn what you need to look out for. Once you get all of the gags in each of the levels, you'll then unlock an achievement for doing so. Next up are the collector cards that are scattered throughout Springfield. There are 7 of these per level, and most of them are pretty easy to find, and you'll just see scattered all around the place. Then you'll have to do a bit of parkour or whatever to get to them. However, some are tucked away a bit better, so it does require a little bit of exploring. Once you collect each of these in all of the levels, you'll then get an achievement for doing each one.
Oh, that was too easy. Oh.
Woo-hoo! You're all mine. Ah, sweet, sweet tangible reward. This is going right next to Bart's.
Please unlock many secrets.
Sweet. I remember these being.
I can sell this on the internet.
In each of the levels, you'll also find a wager race. There's one of these per level, and you just have to get from point A to point B within an allotted amount of time. Because it's a wager race, however, you do have to put forward a little bit of money. Some of these could be 20 coins, and I think the highest it goes up to is about 80 coins. Obviously, if you lose the 20 coins. If you win, however, you gain 40 coins. So it is worth doing if you're trying to generate a bit of money. None of these races are particularly difficult, and if you've got some of the better cars, you should be able to breeze through them quite easily. Alongside this, if you're able to complete every one of these wager races, you can then get the achievement Wager Racer. Once you've collected all of the collector cards, you will then unlock the Super Sprints. This is another type of race. You find these in the main hub area where you start the game. If you click on the racetrack on the floor in the Simpsons house, you'll then be taken to them. There are 7 of these races. They differ quite a lot from the main game due to the races being in a top-down perspective. Because of this, it means that the controls are pretty janky and difficult to get your head around. This then makes these races kind of difficult. The tracks and also the control of the vehicles isn't the easiest too, but after a while you will get the hang of it. If you manage to win a 3-lap race on each of these courses, you'll then unlock an achievement for doing so.
Look at me, I'm flying.
Oh, what a poor decision.
With all the collector cards collected, we can now gain access to an additional movie. This is an extra Itchy and Scratchy episode. To get this, we just have to load into level 3 as Lisa and then go into the comic book store. In here, there'll be a little podium called the 500-yard gash. Go and interact with it, and then you'll unlock an achievement of the same name.
A complete set. Ooh.
The next achievement is another very easy one, car surfing. All you have to do is just jump on top of a car and surf it for a few seconds. Obviously it's easier if you pick a slow car because they don't move so quick and have less chance of throwing you off. Once you've done this, the achievement will then pop. The next achievement is probably one of the ones that I found most annoying. This is Matt Groening Gaming. To get this, you have to spawn in on level 1, mission 1, and get Marge from her starting spot over to the Quickie Mart. Doesn't sound particularly difficult. However, getting her there isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world. My first few attempts, I decided to try and kick her over there. This seemed to be working quite well, but took forever because I had to keep stopping to allow for the hit and run meter to go down. What I didn't realise, that also by doing this, it means that there's a good chance that she's going to despawn and just go back to where she was originally. So this did not work in the slightest, and I was getting quite frustrated. My next idea was to get in one of the lower cars in the game and try and drag her over using that. This worked much better, and I was eventually able to get Marge over to the Quickie Mart and get this achievement to pop. The next achievement is the Sim. During the Lisa level, there's a mission called Clueless. At the end of this mission, you have to get to Millhouse. For some reason, he stood on the side of quite a precarious looking cliff. For this achievement, all you have to do is push him off this cliff. You can do this however you want, but I decided to kick him off. The next collection of achievements that I got were all about using specific vehicles and specific missions. These made missions that are considered pretty easy in the main game a lot more difficult. This can be down to using weak cars in missions where you have to bash other vehicles, or use slower vehicles in races or in tight timelines. The first of these is the achievement 1970 Blue Flame. To get this, you have to finish the Fat and Furious using only the Speed Rocket, which is the special vehicle on the first level. As the name may suggest, it is very, very quick. But with it being quick, the handling is pretty awful and it really doesn't take much damage before blowing up. Fortunately, the Fat and Furious level is just a race from point A to point B, and due to the speed of this vehicle, if you take it kinda slowly, you can do this mission pretty easily. Once you get to Monty Burns after driving from the power plant, you then finish this mission and you'll unlock the achievement. The next achievement is Marge versus the Monorail. This is a reference to the very famous episode of The Simpsons, which is quite early on in the series, as I'm pretty sure. In this, you have to complete the mission Sellouts, which I showed earlier when we did it with Bart, but using the monorail car. Once again, the monorail is the special vehicle on this level. This vehicle is the polar opposite to the Speed Rocket, which I showed in the previous achievement. This is because instead of having any speed to it really, it just has a hell of a lot of power. This, on paper, seems like a good thing for this sort of mission where you have to destroy these cars, but it's just difficult to catch up with them, and if they get away from you, you do spend quite a bit of time catching back up. However, with this being the case, if you do hit them, and hit them hard, you do a hell of a lot of damage, so it sort of evens out. Once you've managed to destroy all of the vehicles, and then head over to Professor Frink, you'll then unlock the achievement, March versus the Monorail. Next up is Night Boat, the crime-solving boat. Once again, you have to use the special vehicle of this level, which is the Night Boat, but finish the level, the Old Pirate and Sea. This, once again, is the mission that I showed earlier, where we're trying to hunt down Bart and we think he might be in the back of this black vehicle and we have to blow it up. Once again, because this vehicle is quite quick, it's not particularly strong, so destroying this vehicle is a little bit tricky. It's definitely better than the Speed Rocket, as it's not quite as quick, but it does have more power. Obviously, it does take a little bit longer, which makes the drive back a bit harder because you have less time to do it. Once you've destroyed this black car and then headed back to the captain and finished the mission, you'll then unlock the achievement, Night Boat, the crime-solving boat. Next up is the achievement Quad Bike. To do this, you have to finish the mission Return of the Nearly Dead on Marge's level using the Quad Bike. The Quad Bike's a weird vehicle because it's not particularly quick, it's not particularly strong, the handling's not great, but it's okay just in all these categories. In this level, we just have to race Chief Wiggum to the retirement home. Thankfully, it's not a massive distance, and with the Quad Bike not being the slowest vehicle in the world, if you take the shortcuts, it's pretty easy to do. Chief Wiggum also isn't the quickest vehicle in the world, so yeah, you shouldn't struggle with this too much. Once you make it to the retirement home though, you will then unlock the achievement Quad Bike. A bit different from the Quad Bike, but the next vehicle we'll be using is the Monster Truck. This is another special vehicle. For this, we have to finish the mission, and the baby makes 8. In this mission, as a poo, we have to get to the hospital. The only issue with this, though, is we're constantly being chased by mob members. This usually wouldn't be a problem, and isn't an issue in the base missions when you're using normal vehicles, but the Monster Truck isn't exactly a particularly good vehicle. Due to its size, the handling and speed really isn't very good, and it bounces all over the place. This can make it kind of difficult to get away from the mobsters quickly, meaning that you have less time to get back to the hospital. After a few attempts and eventually getting to the hospital with the Monster Truck, I then unlock the achievement of the same name.
Ooh, the fresh air is something.
The next of these achievements is the Unfunny Pink Car. To get this, you have to finish the mission, getting down with the clown, using only the Planet Hype 50s car. This mission is basically just a race against the clown car with Krusty in it. The clown car, to be fair, is actually quite quick, so this can be quite a difficult race. However, with most of the areas in this game, there are plenty of shortcuts, so if you make sure to take each of these, you'll be able to win this race pretty easily. Not saying this pink car is any good, because if I remember correctly, it's nothing special, but with these shortcuts and good driving, you can win this race pretty easily and unlock the next achievement. The final of these missions using the special cars on each of these levels is the radio controlled achievement. To get this achievement, you have to finish the level Something About Monty using the RC Buggy. The RC Buggy is definitely one of the more interesting cars, as it's bloody tiny, and I don't really understand how Homer gets in it, but I'm not going to question The Simpsons, I guess. It's an alright vehicle, it doesn't handle particularly well, it seems to get flicked up by most things, but it's pretty quick, so it's okay. In this mission, you just have to race over to the nuclear power plant, which has been hit by a UFO. You should be okay getting there in the time period because it's not too tight and the vehicle is quick. As long as you drive well, it shouldn't really be an issue. The problem that I had was once you're then there trying to do the parkour up to Mr. Burns' office, which I did fall off quite a few times, so I've cut that out of this part just because I don't think you want to see that. Eventually, when you get to the office, you'll then unlock the achievement Radio Controlled. The remaining 7 achievements is definitely where the difficulty jumps up a lot. This is because you have to do some of the more difficult missions within this game using some of the not very good cars in this game. This can be due to the fact they're not very quick or not very strong, but it does get quite difficult. The first of these is the achievement Fire Truck Challenge. To get this, you have to complete the mission Fishy Deals only using the fire truck. This mission consists of you having to collect 22 fish in 2 minutes. Due to the route that you have to take, there's a lot of tight corners and steep hills which slows your car down quite a lot. I had to attempt this over and over again to be able to get an optimum route and a couple of different tricks and bits just to be able to bring down my time a little bit. Even with all these trials and tricks I'd worked out, I still was only able to do this mission with 4 seconds to spare. It was great relief to do this, and alongside that I unlocked the achievement Fire Truck Challenge. The next achievement is the Donut Challenge. To get this achievement, you have to finish the mission a few donuts more using the donut truck. This achievement wasn't as bad as the previous one, but it's still a bit on the tricky side. For this mission, you just have to hit the donut truck and collect the donuts. You have to collect 10 donuts in 2 minutes. Again, the donut truck's pretty powerful, so that's not too bad, but it's just the speed. Because you're using the same vehicle as the one that you're hitting, if it does manage to squeeze past you, it can be difficult to catch up. However, if you can trap it in a corner or get a few decent hits off it early, this mission is very doable. Once you've got the 10th donut from this vehicle though, that's not the end of the mission. You then need to head back to Chief Wiggum at the donut shop, which depending on how far away you are can be tricky due to the amount of time that you have to get back. If you are then able to get back to Chief Wiggum at the donut shop, you will then unlock the achievement Donut Challenge. The next achievement is Duff Challenge. To get this, you have to complete the mission, finish from outer space using only the Duff truck. I showed this mission earlier on in the video where we play as Marge and we have to destroy the Buzz Cola delivery vehicles. There's 3 of them in total and they're all quite strong and not particularly slow. This is where the issue is really, because the Duff truck really isn't very quick, so you can lose them and then struggle to catch up and be able to generate enough speed to do much damage. However, if you manage to keep up the pressure and do enough damage over time, you'll destroy the 3rd truck. Following this, we then just have to race over to the Simpsons house. In the process of this though, we do get chased by Chief Wiggum. When I played this the first time, I just tried to escape him, but this time I just ducked straight into the house, and surprisingly, it got rid of my wanted level almost immediately. This then finished this level and got me the achievement Duff Challenge. Generally, this one wasn't too difficult. Next up is what I truly think is the hardest achievement in this game, and that is Cola Challenge. In this mission, we have to get to the brewery in the cola truck in 45 seconds from the observatory. This in itself is very, very tight. Traffic is so unpredictable, it'll be driving in a straight line, and then just as you're about to pull up, it'll just suddenly just veer into you. Combine this with some very tight turns that just completely kill your momentum. This 45 seconds goes very quickly. However, if you do make it, this isn't the end of the level. You then have to collect 6 items from a Duff truck that you have to chase. This truck seems to be much quicker than ours, and also down to the weird sort of mechanics that consist of knocking a vehicle and getting it to drop objects. There's no real consistency. This means that you can hit it and feel like you've done enough to get an object and nothing will appear. And then sometimes the object will just spawn behind you, and by the time you've picked it up, it's the vehicle so far ahead that it's pointless even carrying on. This just makes it very, very frustrating, and took me many attempts to get anywhere near to completing it. Eventually, I was able to get all 6 items after many, many attempts. But once again, this isn't the end of the level. And now you have to race back to the brewery in a time that really isn't very long in my opinion. And as you can see, whilst escaping a hit and run, because there's so many people on the boardwalk, I managed to make it with just 1 second to go. If I hadn't have made it at this point, I think I would have just screamed and slammed my head against the wall or my desk or something, I don't even know. But once again, that's not the end of the mission. You then have to find the laser gun, which originally I drove the wrong direction because I was in so much relief of actually getting to this point, I didn't even pay attention to where it was. Once again, if I would have failed it because of this, God knows what I would have done. But thankfully, I eventually found the laser gun and finished the level and got myself the achievement Cola Challenge.
I can't believe I have a working...
Next up is the Plow King Challenge. To do this, you have to finish the mission Full Metal Jacket using the Plow King. The Plow King is, again, a very famous vehicle from the Simpsons universe, and in this game does a lot of damage just down to the pure size and power of it. In this mission, we just have to destroy Principal Skinner's car. So with the Plow King, as long as you can keep up with it, this is generally pretty easy, and especially a lot easier than the previous achievement I got, which at this point I was just glad to have done, so everything following this just seemed like a breeze. Eventually, you'll do enough damage and you'll destroy the vehicle. The penultimate achievement I needed to get was Armoured Challenge. This is to complete the mission Rigger Motors on the final level with the armoured truck. For this mission, the first thing we have to do is drive to Cletus's house and collect some board. And then over to Moe's for a quick chat. And then the only slightly tricky bit is to get back to the Simpsons house in 40 seconds. This seems quite tight, but you do have plenty of time really, and the armoured truck isn't an awful vehicle. It's not the quickest, but it moves quick enough. When you manage to get back to the Simpsons house, this is when you then unlock the achievement.
Oh, yeah. Stretch the
And now it's time for the final achievement in this game. This was the one that I was really not looking forward to, and sort of why I left it to last. This is the achievement, I Can't See Anything. In this, I have to replay the final level of the game, which I struggled with already when I first played through, but this time I need to activate the drunk driving cheat. As you can see, this just makes your screen go absolutely mental and really limits your visibility. With these two bits combined, I thought I was really going to struggle with this and this was going to take me forever. However, I was very, very wrong. Somehow, I was able to do this first time, which I don't really understand how, due to how many times it took me when I had complete visibility. I don't know if this is because I'd improved playing the game after I did it the first time, or I just got incredibly lucky. I'm going to say I got really good at this game, and it wasn't just pure luck, because, yeah, obviously that is the case. Driving like an absolute pro, I was able to get back to the school and deliver the nuclear waste. This unlocked the last achievement in the game, and I finally finished Simpsons Hit and Run's achievements.
Ultimate Quality Network Television.
I've been wanting to replay Simpsons Hit and Run for years now. It was a game that I just associate with my childhood, and I used to play it all the time on PlayStation 2 when I was little. It's a classic. I think going into it, there's always that part where you go, is it as good as I remember, or is it just pure nostalgia? But to be honest, it is as good as you remember. For a game that's old as it is, obviously my computer's upscaled the graphics slightly, but it still looks great. There's the humour that Simpsons is great for, the characters are great, the voice acting's great, everything about it really is great. And at the end of the day, the nostalgia is still there, so I think I'd have loved it even if it was a little bit shit. Now that I've worked out how I can play PlayStation games and then also incorporate achievements to it, I think this is going to be something I look at in the future. Play some more classics from my childhood, or just classics in general that I maybe didn't get around to. The only thing that I am aware of is that the Retro Achievements website, some of the games have way too many achievements. I think the original Star Wars Battlefront games have about 300, 400, so I'm not sure if I'll attempt them, or if I do, it'll be multiple videos, I guess. If you have any recommendations on how I can improve these videos or games to play, please let me know, as I always take it on and add them to my list, or just make little tweaks to these videos. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.